I'm Charlie Rymer, and this is the Charlie Rymer Golf Show, powered by PlayGolfMyrtleBeach.com. We're at Pawleys Plantation Golf and Country Club in Pawleys Island, South Carolina, and there's no better setting to introduce today's very special guest. The Golden Bear has two designs in the Myrtle Beach area. Pawleys Plantation was the first to open in 1988, just 2 years after Jack Nicklaus gave the world of golf its greatest day ever. So we're all locked down, we're at home. Anytime you turn on the TV, consume any kind of digital content, it's a real bummer. And I know a lot of people, golf fans, and folks that just like sports. This week's really special. It's Masters Week, and obviously the Masters have been postponed. But I thought it would be really nice to put some good news out there, some good stories out there. And as far as I'm concerned, the greatest day in golf happened on Masters Sunday in 1986 when Jack Nicklaus won his 6 Masters. So I thought it would be really neat to get Mr. Nicklaus on FaceTime and tell us the story of that day. Mr. Nicklaus, with the whole country locked down, people hurting, scared, it's Masters Week. I think it's really important to hear from our heroes. And the greatest day of golf that I've ever witnessed, and I think most people agree the greatest day of golf ever was Sunday, 1986 Masters. And I was just hoping you would tell us the story of that day.
Well, if you've got a couple hours, I can do it, Charlie.
Well, unfortunately, we've got a couple of months.
Okay, yeah, I guess that's right. Started out that morning with Steve calling me. And he was working in the tournament at Hattiesburg. And he said, "What do you think, Pops?" And I said, "Well, Steve, I think 66 will tie, 65 I'll win." He said, "Exact number I got in mind, go shoot it." So I went out there with that in mind, or started to go out there. Then I looked in my closet and said, "Well, what am I going to wear today?" And I sort of rummaging through there, and I found a yellow shirt. And I looked at Barbara, and I said, "What do you think?" She says, "I think Craig would love it." Craig Smith was a young man that was our minister's at home's son who died from Ewing sarcoma. And he died in 1971, but I had a nice relationship with him. And we talked a lot. And after I called him after one tournament one time, and he says, "You know why you won today?" And I said, "Well, no, why is that, Craig?" He says, "I wore my lucky yellow shirt." So from that point on, I wore a yellow shirt quite often. But I hadn't worn one for a couple of years, and that sort of popped up that morning. So I went out there with Steve's idea in mind, Jackie on the bag. My mother and my sister hadn't been to Augusta since the first year I played in 1959. A lot of things were going on.
Can I ask you real quick about what you're doing right now with Play Yellow and the yellow shirt? We've seen Miss Nicklaus walk by a couple times in the background. And the two of you, in partnership with the PGA of America, PGA Tour, LPGA, Children's Miracle Network Hospitals, you're trying to raise a big chunk of money. I think it's around $100 million. Would you tell us about that just a little bit?
Well, we've combined with the PGA Tour and actually the game of golf to raise $100 million over 5 years. This is our second year. I think we're a little over $30 million after starting into our second year. For Children's Miracle Network Hospitals, 170 of them around the country, and a lot of our tournaments are played in Children's Miracle Network towns. So none of the money ever leaves the town that's raised in. It's raised there for that hospital. But it's a Play Yellow. We have a Play Yellow Day. It was going to be the Sunday of the Memorial Tournament this year. I think Memorial Tournament's going to probably get moved back, I would imagine. We don't know yet, but I would think that's going to happen. And but but that was the day that around the country people want to donate money to children. They would do it on that day, and it's. I think it's a nice thing that that's happening. I think they're using the yellow shirt thing as a sort of a emblem of it, I suppose, or whatever you, a flagship flag of it. And so we're in the process of trying to raise some money, Charlie. I think we're doing all right so far. We're going to raise a lot of money.
And for our viewers here, they can find out all the information they need at playyellow.org. There's an amazing video of a young man that's making the same putt that you made on 17 at Augusta on Sunday in 1986. And for our folks that haven't seen it, they got to see it. It's a great reenactment. But sorry to interrupt the golf story there, but that's really important to get that in video about playyellow.org. Okay, so let's get back to the golf. You were just saying that Steve, maybe the first time he's ever been right, Steve Nicklaus, your oldest son, maybe the first time he's ever been right, picked the right number.
Anyway, so we went to the golf course, and I was pretty charged up. I was 4 shots back, and I had 8 players in front of me, and I knew that was not a big number. If I played a good round, I had a good shot at winning. And so I got started off, and I think let's see, I don't know where I birdied. Maybe I think I birdied 6. And then I turned right around and bogeyed 7, if I recall. And then I got really lucky on number 8. I hit the ball to the right of the bunker on 8, and I tried to cut a 3-wood around the trees, and I pushed it. It went right through the trees. If the ball had hit those trees, I'd have still been bouncing around in those trees. Anyway, it got up there around the green. I made par, and it didn't do anything. So I wouldn't do anything. Got to the 9th green. I had about a 12-foot putt. And just before I hit the putt, there was a big roar that went up at 17. I'm saying the 8th hole. And it was Ballesteros holding a wedge. And for an eagle, he was leading the tournament. And I sort of walked away from my ball, and I got back over to putt it again. And all of a sudden, another big roar went up from 8, and Tom Kite followed him in with a wedge shot right into the hole for another eagle. 2 eagles on 1 hole. And I'm sitting there was a lot of yelling going on out there. I turned to the crowd and I said, boy, they made a lot of noise out there. Let's see if we can make a little bit of noise here. And I hold that putt. The crowd really loved it. I shot 35, which wasn't any great shakes, but it was a start of what happened. And then at 10, I had about a 25-footer. I did a driver and a 5-iron in about 25 feet short, and I knocked it in the hole, and that was pretty good. And then I hold about a 30-footer and 11. That was pretty good. Now I went to the 12th tee, and they go wild at 12. You know how they do there. I guess it's a pretty special place for a golfer to walk up to. And I played a shot the way I wanted to. I played it over the bunker, and it went to the back fringe. I chipped it about 5 feet, and then I hit a ball mark in my way, and I hit that ball mark, and I missed the putt. Now, it turned out it may have been the best thing that ever happened to me, because it obviously brought me back down to earth. And so I went to 13, and I hit a 3-wood around the corner, had a little over 200 yards, hit a 3-iron onto the green about, 30 feet or so, and 2-putted it. Hit on 14, hit it under the back fringe, almost chipped it in. So I'm walking down 15 fairway, and I've hit a good drive at 15. But I know I'm still quite a few shots behind. And I got over the ball. I had 214 yards, I believe it was, to the hole. And I said to Jackie, how far do you think a 3 will go here? And I said, I don't mean club. And he said, I think that'll go pretty far. So I hit a 4-iron from there. And the 4-iron was a high, soft shot. It landed about, 6-8 feet, rolled to about 12 feet from the hole. And then I made that putt. Now, that was pretty good. But Ballesteros behind me was making birdies, and he was still 4 shots ahead of me. So I wasn't really all that much in contention at that point. So we went over to 15. It was 175 yards. A little breeze, maybe just a fraction in our face. Couldn't see the bottom of the pin. It was hidden behind the bunker. I hit a 5-iron and hit it perfect. And Jackie's saying, be good, be good. And I just reached down, picked up my tee without even looking. I said, "It is." I mean, pretty cocky statement to be making at that point in a tournament. But I knew that the shot was a good shot. It had almost went in the hole. So I made 2 there. I walk over to the 17th tee, and then there's a big sort of groan and cheer at 15. Well, I knew exactly what happened. I mean, Ballesteros was hitting his second shot, and he hit it in the water. And at that point, that moved me back into the tournament. And I remember talking to Sevy early in the week, and I said, "How you doing, Sev?" He said, I haven't played a lot this spring. My game hasn't been very good. I said, "I don't know how I'll hold up under pressure." And I remembered that when he said that to me. And so he had had a, I don't know, halfway between a 4 and 5 iron to the green. And when you haven't played, you don't play into 15 green a soft 4 iron. And if you remember the swing, he just quit on it horribly, and the ball went about halfway across the water, and it was a 5 iron for him and hit it. But anyway, the ball went in the water, so now I'm sitting in a pretty good position, and I drove the ball up the left side of the fairway, which a little further left maybe than I wanted to, but I wanted it left side, and I had 110 yards, and I said, well, I can't hit a pitching wedge more than 110 yards, so I hit a good hard pitching wedge, and I hit it about 12 feet left of the hole. Had a putt that broke a little bit left to right, left to right, and then turned back to the left. And Jackie and I were looking at it, and I said, "What do you think?" He says, "Well, it's got to go right, Dad." And I said, "Yeah, I know it's going to go right, but I think it's going to come back left towards Ray's Creek." He says, "You think so?" I said, "I think so." I said, "I'm pretty sure that it will." Well, anyway, I hit the ball, it broke a little bit right, then straightened out, turning back towards Ray's Creek, and it went in the hole. And, of course, that's the first time all week that I've led the tournament. Incidentally, Charlie, I've hit that putt 100 times since. It's never broken left again.
That's the hardest putt on the planet to read.
Oh, it's a hard putt. Very difficult putt. And plus the fact it's a lot faster than people think it is. And so I got the 18th tee. I knew that I was in pretty good shape. I didn't know that I was leading. And I hit a 3-wood and hit it 175 yards, just short and right of the bunker. And Pim was in the back, and I thought I did not want to be long. I don't like being long on that hole. And so I hit a 5 iron, and as soon as I hit it, a breath of air hit me in the face. And I said, well, I know where that is. I know it's going to be short. So it did. It hit in the bank, came back down the hill. And earlier in the year, that fall, the fall previous, our company had redone the 9th and 18th greens, and we changed them from 11% pitch to 8% pitch, keeping the contours the same, and try to allow them to get the speed on the greens that they wanted without having too much pitch. And so I practiced that particular putt maybe 15 times, and so I had a pretty good idea what to do. It was about a 35-footer up the hill, broke a little bit left to right, and I hit it, and I had it right dead in the heart of the hole and stopped about 5 or 6 inches short. Excuse me. And that was all right. So I went up and tapped the ball in and shook hands with Sandy and his caddy and saw Jackie. We went over, gave Jackie a big hug, and Jackie's always talked about that being a very, very special moment for him because, here I was acknowledging my son and being part of what we were doing, and it was very special to me to have Jackie on the bag and be part of what was going on. I mean, at that point in time, I had no idea that I was going to win the tournament, but I knew I was in pretty good shape. And so right behind us came Tom Kite. And Tom Kite hit a really nice second shot in about 12 feet short and right of the pin. Good chance for birdie. He needed birdie to tie. Hit a really nice putt that just dropped off below the hole. And then, so we went over to the Bobby Jones cabin, and I sat down on the couch to start watching Norman make birdies. He birdied 13, 14, 15. And I said, oh my gosh, 16. I said, heck, I can't sit here. I said, he's making too many birdies with me sitting on this couch. Not that I'm superstitious or anything, Charlie. And so I got up and walked around behind the couch. Then he made another birdie at 17. I said, oh my gosh. Well, anyway, he had a perfect tee shot at 18. He sit back at 165 yards with a 6-iron and hit a pitch out. I mean, not a very good golf swing from Greg. And, hit a pretty decent pitch from where he was. And he left himself with about 15, 16-foot putt. He missed the putt. And, of course, that sewed up the Masters. But it was a special week. And coming out of that cabin, going down to Butler cabin for the interview, I mean, I got knocked 6 ways from Sunday. People patting me on the back, giving me high fives and what have you. But that was good. I enjoyed that, every minute of it. That's pretty much the story. And then, of course, after the round, we had dinner at the club with the family, and it was a great day.
Well, I certainly appreciate you sharing the story. I just wanted to ask you, and it's something I've never talked to you about, but coming in to 1986, you hadn't played well that year. You hadn't won a golf tournament in 2 years. And you hadn't won a major championship in 6 years. And some of the comments early in the week, I hate to bring it up, but they were calling you, a few folks were the Olden Bear.
And the Olden Bear, and he's all done. He's all washed up. An article by Tom McAllister from Atlanta, and John Montgomery, a friend of mine who we were staying with, put it on the refrigerator. Of course, I had to look at it every time I opened up the refrigerator. There's this guy that's clubs are rusty. He's done. He's through. He's so forth and so on. And that was okay. And I think the article was actually very justified. I was getting old and I was playing not very well. And so that's the way it worked. But I had that big old putter that I had that week, Charlie. I remember Clay Long from the company gave it to me beginning of the year. And he said, Jack, he said, we got this new putter. It's got a high moment of inertia, whatever the world that means. And I said, that's nice. I said, I'm interested in something that makes putts. I don't care about too much about inertia. And he said, he says, it's a good putter. You'll like it. So I remember the first time I tried it, I played it Eagle Trace, and the wind was blowing hard. And about the third or fourth hole, I had about a 6-inch putt. Excuse me. And I couldn't get the putter settled over. The wind was blowing the putter around, and finally the wind blew the putter into the ball, moved it halfway to the hole. And I said, oh my gosh. And so that putter was a little light. So I found another one, put a little bit more weight on it, got it to where it felt better. And I started putting pretty decent that spring, and was putting pretty good coming into the tournament. But I wasn't hitting the ball that great. So I went to Augusta the week before the tournament, and which I always did. I spent about 4 days practicing and getting my game shape. And I started hitting the ball much better. And we got to the tournament, and then I didn't putt. I shot 74 the first round and putted not very well. Second round, hit the ball okay and putted a little bit better. 69 the third round. Then I started making a couple of putts. And then, of course, I hit the ball well and putted well the last round.
Well, Mr. Nicklaus, I certainly appreciate your time. People are going to love hearing this story firsthand this week. Thank you so much.
Charlie, my pleasure. It's always been good. I'm looking into this FaceTime here, and behind you, it looks like you got snow up there. I don't think you do. It looks like through those windows there's snow out there.
We've got plenty of pollen here. We're I know you were up here last year. I live on the south side of Myrtle Beach. We're just maybe 6 or 8 miles north of your course, Paulie's Plantation, that you spent some time here. But no snow, but there's about a 1/4 inch of pollen out there right now.
Oh boy.
So
well, you and your family stay safe, and we wish you well. Look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you, and please pass my love to Miss Nicklaus and your whole family, and y'all stay tight and safe.
Okay, Charlie. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Charlie Rymer. We'll see you next time on the Charlie Rymer Golf Show, powered by PlayGolfMyrtleBeach.com.